Hello, it's October 2023, and I just want to do a real short video here, inspired by events in my life, somewhat of an update on what's been going on behind the scenes in my life. But I really want to focus on the message towards the end, because it's something that we all can perhaps learn from. Now, before I really get into that part, I just wanted to say that I had eye surgery not too long ago, and it was, as far as I can tell, successful. I was at high risk for something that's called sudden blindness. Now, I know over the years with these microstrokes that I've had, and I guess the last one that I had, perhaps impacted, or was part cause of this medical issue. And people who, like my friends and people who touch base with me, make contact with me, I provided, I wouldn't say it's evidence, but that I was really going through all this. And I was really nervous and stressed about it all. Now, this does tie into the story that I would like to share. Perhaps you can call it somewhat of a confession of sorts. So before all this, actually over some time now, there's been a lot of vandalism done to my vehicle. It started off small and has increased to the point where windows are smashed out. And nothing was really taken that's worth mentioning, and I thank the Most High for that. But it's just been something that I've been also dealing with, along with my health and everything else. So I had been having to deal with all that. Now, in this part of the story that I would like to share. So before the eye surgery, that next morning when I was trying to clean up the glass and everything else from the window being smashed, there was an alleyway adjacent to me. And it's an alley where people put their garbage bins and so forth. And I was hearing these bins, someone messing with the bins. And so I just went and looked, and there's this homeless guy just going through bins trying to collect bottles. And I wasn't going to say anything to him. I was just watching him. At that moment, I was just also at the same time thinking about this upcoming eye surgery and what I'm dealing with, this vandalism to my vehicle. And when you don't have funds and money, it's even more stressful to have to make all these repairs and replace things and everything else. But I digress. So I'm just watching this guy, and he finally looks up at me with some attitude and just says, "What do you want?" And I said, "Are you breaking into cars?" And so he, with his attitude, in a crude way, starts to reply. And for that moment, I I think just everything just piled up on top of me. And I'm not making an excuse. There's never an excuse for what I'm about to share. And I was still composing myself, but I was reciprocating negativity. And I did something that I'd never done in my life before. And I'm just going to pause here for a quick moment and say, and I also made a promise to the Most High that I would never, ever do that again, because it's disgusting. It was verbal. And so, just everything I said to him, I said, "You're trying to break into that garage." He goes, "No, I'm not." And I said, "Yeah, I just seen you. I'm going to call the police." And I just exploded verbally. And I turned around. I didn't follow through with any of that. And I just let him carry on. This is hard to share. I've tried to share times when I was shedding tears, crying, the impact of post-traumatic stress, just to show there's a human side to the person that you're watching in this video, me. So by the time I got back to my vehicle and I'm cleaning up all this glass and I had to take everything out because it was just everywhere, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Realizing for that 10 seconds, maybe, I became the very type of person that I highlight in my videos and when I talk to people. They're the problem in this civilization. He was just collecting bottles, but I was mentioned the garage, and again, I didn't follow through. So I do have that going for me. And I just stopped what I was doing, and I had a few things that I knew would be useful for him that I could give. So I gathered these things up, and by now he's down the alleyway, and I started walking towards him, and he was literally in a dumpster, standing in a dumpster trying to find empty bottles and stuff. Now, in case people are wondering what's up with the empty bottles, I don't know what it's like where you are, but in many places in Canada, for example, you can return those bottles, and I think you get like 10 cents a bottle, and I think bigger bottles you get maybe 20 cents or something. But anyway, there's value, there's money. You take it to recycling places and they pay you for it. So as I was walking up to the dumpster, he was standing there, and he was scared that I was going to do something, and I just said, no. I said, I have this here. I had a bag of stuff, and I said, "This is yours if you want it." I gave him some other things. And he said, "How did you know that I needed this?" I said, I just do. And I sincerely apologized to him, and I owned my errors. I've talked about this in videos. And by now he's relaxed and just listening to me. And I said, my words were uncalled for. I owned it. I owned it all. And I just briefly told him, not making an excuse, but just said, this is basically what I was dealing with at that moment, the shock of the window being smashed open and everything else. And it's no excuse. And I said that to him, there's no excuse. And I said, I'm not like that, because I've always, over the years, helped homeless people who have less than I do with, you know, sometimes all I can afford is to give them my time and talk to them. Buy them a coffee if I have a little extra. I've even given away my meals. And I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I'm just simply trying to paint the picture so you're understanding, you know, everything a little bit better. And I even said to him, I said, you can ask anyone around that I'm not some of the names that he was calling me. And then I remember him saying, and it stung. He says, yeah, you bought me something once. Now I talk to a lot of people, from homeless people to wealthy people, wherever I sit. Seem just to draw people in, sometimes even crazy people. And I thought to myself when he said that I helped him once with food, and I did. I don't have much. I just, wow. And he remembered me. And I can't help but wonder what was going through on in his mind when I had that moment of weakness, and what, you know, one minute I'm helping, the next minute I'm being a complete jerk, we'll just say. But anyway, I apologized, and, you know, we left it at that. I just let him carry on. I wish I could have done more for him. And I went back, continued cleaning, and whatever else. So, you might be wondering, well, what's this got to do with everyone else? What's the story here? Like, what's the moral of the story? I've always said, no matter how strong of a character you are, you will have those times where you trip. It's what you do, how you deal with it, that makes a difference. For example, not following through with what could have been devastating for this innocent person, for example. And owning it. For example, apologizing. Or if there's something that needs to be done, you do whatever it is to bring it back to where things were before. For example, making it worse. So, and I'm not saying that I'm anyone special or great or super strong character, any of this. I'm not implying that at all. What I'm just trying to say is, it happens to the best of us, even for that split second. And I remember in my older videos talking about how there are times in our lives where there's a moment that we make a split second decision that comes and goes in a poof, and that puts us on tangents. And how we deal with it, how we fix it if we can, or as best as we can, makes the world of a difference. But remember when I said, when I went back to start cleaning up this glass and everything else, how it just ate me that fast. It just started to consume me. Like, I felt the pain. And I've said in videos and, even talking with people, that we cannot hold negativity because it will consume us. And if you don't, for example, fix a wrong and you try to suppress it, set it aside. It's always there, eating away. But next time you do something wrong, it's easier because I'll just push it back where this other stuff is, and you have this pile of garbage within you just piling up, and then you try running from it. It doesn't exist. But there will come a day for everyone. But the wrongs that you've done, for example, to others will catch up to you. You're not going to be able to run. And whether you want to accept or not, that you will be giving answer to the Most High at some point in your existence. All the mental gymnastics and everything else are not going to help you. There'd be no excuse. I had no excuse for those seconds where I said what I said. But what's important is what we do when we do trip. I really hope and pray that there's something positive that you can take from that, because depending on who you are, your life experience, whatever, you're going to have your own interpretation and apply this story to your life, to yourself, maybe a little bit differently. The examples that I've given are the ones that I personally just want to highlight. But again, you can take what you will from these stories and really what lessons can be learned. Okay? And just for clarity, I'm not sharing all this and saying, well, see how I handled it, it's so great. I shouldn't have been in the position where I had to handle anything, but I did trip for that moment. None of us are perfect, and we all should be trying to become better than who we are, improving ourselves mentally, physically, but most importantly, spiritually. And perhaps there's lessons for people who have piled up that garbage within them. Take out the trash before it becomes too much. And that's where you get into people lying to themselves. Anyway, I can keep rambling on, but I've said what I've had to say, and this was a difficult video to share. But if it helps at least one other person, then it's worth the humility of my sharing this. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Hello, it's October 2023, and I just want to do a short video inspired by some personal events. So it'll be kind of like a little update here, but there's going to be something that others can take away from when I get to that part.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.